Alright, welcome back everybody to Halo Reach. We are part way through this mission in New Alexandria. They have just to let everybody know if you can't see from the logo down there, got a jetpack on me. We're going to swap around some items here to hopefully make this upcoming area a little bit easier. Right now I'm rocking 2 power weapons, so I need to switch off one of them. Rockets are good at distance, hammer's good up close, so you gotta pick which one you think you're gonna need. In this case, I'm gonna probably need range more than anything, so particularly with laser sniper guys like that, I'm gonna have to take care of them. So we're gonna switch out the melee weapon with a range weapon. Gonna look for other jackals because there's not just one jackal. If you see a sniper, they travel in teams of at least 2 to 4. Not that you might, in a specific map, in a specific difficulty, you might run into a singular sniper jackal. But again, if you see one sniper jackal, there's another one somewhere on the board that you're not seeing right now. So, yeah. One of the fun things about brutes, I don't know if I haven't really tested this, to be honest with you, because I never really think about it, but brutes and elites are different, and they made them essentially different, and particularly if we're not counting Halo 2 where they're just bullets much. But they basically designed the brutes to be big enemies that can take a lot of damage, but don't have any shield. Whereas elites take a lot less damage. They're a lot less spongy in terms of damage, but their shields are there. So basically, if you get through their shields, you just got to do a little bit extra damage and you kill the elite. Jackals have their shields, usually. Grunts obviously are grunts, though they're not really designed to be much more than, at best, a swarm. At best, a swarm. At worst, a distraction. But the brutes, obviously, like I said, they stoke up the damage. But what's really great about brutes is, while they do rely on their armor, and their armor does take a decent amount of damage, you can do what I'm doing right now, which is basically take the helmet off them, and once you've knocked the helmet off them, they're a one-hit headshot away from dying, which you can't do to an elite. But the upside of that is, it doesn't matter where you shoot the elite, it's all damage to him. Now I'm sure the game balances that in some capacity based on the fact that if you're shooting an elite with shields in its head, you're probably doing more damage to its shields than you would be if you were shooting it, say, in its torso. But I don't think it's necessarily enough for it to truly make much of a difference in terms of if I try to use this gun I'm holding right now and I put 5 in his chest versus 5 in his head, I don't think that again, I'm speculating, I don't actually know, and I'm sure there's someone who's done not a documentary, but a deep dive into this, where they figured out how many bullets it takes for each gun to knock them down. Yeah, those 2 guys are carrying. That's another one. If you see one grunt carrying what do they call that? I want to call it a plasma rocket. It's called something's called like a fuel cell or fuse cannon. If you see one of them, if you see one carrying it, there's probably a second one around somewhere. Because it's sort of that I've talked about mimics before in the past, about how, you know, once you know there are mimics in the game, you start checking every chest with the off chance that you've got another mimic. Uh, you know, RPGs, you don't really worry about that because they're just encounters. But in like Dark Souls, they actually will eat you and kill you, and like one hit you. But like I've said in other series, once you know there are mimics in the game, you check every treasure chest for a mimic to make sure that you don't get got a second time. So, in a similar vein, you know, once you know that there's a, you know, once you get the idea that okay, every time I see a jackal sniper or every time I see one with a fuel cannon, there's a second one hiding. You can only fool me once in a game before I realize that that is the standard. Now these guys carrying fuel cannons are a little different. There's not going to be a second one of him, but he's essentially designed to be the leader of this group, the general, the field commander, whatever his rank is, you know, of this area. So once I take care of him, I can be pretty sure that there's not going to be a second one of those guys hanging out anywhere. With the fuel cannon, this is going to destroy this. So we've got reinforcements coming in here. Another guy, well, this time the leader's got a, he's got the gravity hammer. Fortunately, I've got long-range weapons, so he could try to rush me down, but there's literally nowhere for you to go short of if you come for some reason got like a rocket jetpack on. It's about the only way you're gonna get behind me, because you go left, I'm gonna follow you left. You go right, I'm gonna follow you right with my gun. And there's not really a way for you to get up high, you know, up a set of staircase, for instance. And with the fuel rod from the previous guys, not only the brute, but the two grunts that had this, I've got this plus excess armor to get through the stuff. So we're switching up to just regular weapons. I don't think this is really going to matter one way or another, because after I get on the helicopter here, it may just reset my weapons anyway, so this probably doesn't matter. I can't probably carry a fuel rod cannon with me to the next area. So hard to say. I don't remember. And the next area is going to be the area I mentioned a couple episodes ago about how they took a single player area and they turned it into a multiplayer map, because it's kind of the right combination of. So they're evacuating. They're trying to evacuate the populace, as I mentioned earlier. And you can, as we fly over this, I'm going to try to gun down some of these guys, but it doesn't really matter. They're essentially enemies that just sort of pop in to create ambiance. You can kill them, you can not kill them, as long as you don't take enough damage that you die. This is just sort of a cutscene where you happen to have a gun to shoot things with. So if you see this guy die, which I think I'm going to kill him, it doesn't really matter. It's, like I said, more or less a cutscene. As you can see, the brutes are still going to come. And even if I kill all the brutes and grunts, it doesn't. It's a video game. Maybe that's what I should say. It's a video game. It doesn't matter. It's just a setting piece. And then this upcoming area, here to my direct, this direct left is the area I'm talking about. It's covered by the fact that you can't go. So yeah, they're not only evacuating the city, they're evacuating the planet. That wasn't obvious. So yeah, these banshees eventually break off. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. this is the area I was thinking of. So this area is not only landlocked because there's a water on all sides of it. So if you try to out of bounds yourself, you're just going to end up in the water and die. And because the left and right sides are covered by mountains, you can't really accidentally end up in a situation where you don't want to be. So this whole area is self-contained is what I'm trying to get at. And because it's self-contained, it's kind of a really good multiplayer arena where you can have some, I don't know if it's in the multiplayer map or not, but you could have some tanks. You could have, characters trying to, be inside the area, but there's so many ways to get in this facility, as you'll probably see. There's not really a way to, short of actually playing as a team, there's not really a way to lock down the inside area, because the doors are so narrow. You can't just, well, depending on what vehicle you pick up, you can't just drive into the facility because the doors are just too narrow. Now, if you happen to grab the mongoose that's hanging around here, you may be able to drive in there, but the mongoose isn't really going to do you much good once you get to the top of that set of stairs. Now that's directly behind me, just north of where my reticle just was. I've more or less given up on this particular run. I want my life back, essentially, and I kind of should have jumped into the warthog when I had the chance, and when I turned around, it was already gone. So we're gonna rectify that now by jumping in the warthog, and we're gonna use this to hopefully get either take out one or both of the tanks, or get close enough to one of the tanks that we're able to hopefully either blow it up or take the tank for myself. Let's see what we can do here. I'm confident because of the fact that they do have a gunner. I think they do have a machine gunner. But the machine gunner seems to be very easily taken out in this game. I don't know why. So it's very easy for me to park my ass over here and basically punch my way into taking this tank. Now, reminder, I'm on heroic mode. I'm not on legendary, so there's a good chance this does not work in legendary, but this does work apparently in heroic, where I punch it 3 times and it does not blow up the tank, and it allows me to get into the tank and use it for my own purposes. So we're not really going to use it too much, I don't think, anyways. I basically want to set up these 2 anti-air guns that are marked on my map right now at 49 and 160, well, now 170 meters. I'm just using this to clear the area, and then we're going to hop out of here. And like I said, I'm going to try to set up both anti-air guns as quickly as possible, and then there'll be a final marker that'll fully activate the anti-air guns targeting system. So I got that one armed. I gotta get the other one armed. Yeah. So gotta get across the bridge here. You can see the bridge does a pretty good job at defending me from as long as I keep moving anyway. It keeps pretty good. Keeps me away from getting shot by the ghost. Is it ghost? What is it called? It's not called ghost. It's the banshee. It's not a ghost. The wraith. Yeah, it keeps me away from getting shot by the wraith. Now, because I've hit both buttons, essentially the game is switched over to okay, we need to now defend the final button, which is back there. I got run over there. I was hoping to grab hold of this second tank and take it out. We're going to try this again, and if this does not work, we may try a different strategy. But the plan is to try to do what we did to the first tank on the second tank. That time I didn't die. Luckily, I retained a sliver of health. It was enough for me to punch it 3 times, knock out the brute, and retake the tank. That's what we're going to do. We're going to take this tank and move on with our lives. Unfortunately, once you set off the second beacon, a group of jackals do come in. Not that I'm super concerned about the jackals, because they don't do a ton of damage, and I am in a tank. I still want to get rid of the jackals before I start moving my way up the beach. So it shouldn't be too difficult. I just need some amount of splash or direct damage to get rid of them. So, and they're both hiding in this corner here. So it shouldn't be too hard for me to do this and do some splash damage and get rid of them, which I did. We're gonna bomb this area a little bit. You can see the guys moving around up there. I'm just trying to get what do you call that? I'm trying to, the word, there it is, soften up the enemy defenses before actually moving in to actually try to take the last goal, because, you know, obviously, even though I am in a tank, the tank will take damage, and the damage is based on my health. So, you know, the more they shoot me, the more is ultimately going to result in me dying. Looks like one of my buddies jumped in the turret there. Helpful. Trying to be cautious because I don't want someone to come up from behind me and knock out my tank, because that'll just respawn me back forever and I'll have to take the tank again. I may have gotten a checkpoint after I took the tank. We'll see. I want to say the game's weird like that, but it's really not. The game is designed to only checkpoint you. It's... that was what I was afraid of. Anywho, so so the game is designed to basically auto-save whenever you're supposed to be in a more or less secure location, because they don't want to create a situation where they spawn you in next to an enemy that is ultimately just gonna, as you're spawning in, or the game is resetting to your last save, I guess is how I should put it. It does not want you to automatically just die and die and die, and just that whole save gets fucked, and you have to restart the whole level because you fucked over the save. The save is so fucked. Now, mind you, Halo's brilliant in this regard, where I believe it saves your last 2 saves. So if you get overrun, and you tend to see this more in a non. You see this more in Halo Legendary mode without skulls, because if you have your skulls on, what's supposed to happen is if you die, you're supposed to go back to the beginning of the level, or at least the one skull sends you back to the beginning of the level. Anyways, the game's got essentially a save, and then I believe it has a backup save and possibly one before that. I'm not 100% sure, because I've never gotten to the point where I've needed to go back to saves, but I have had situations where the game has auto-saved me in the most inexplicable area, and it's had to revert to a save prior to the one that I'm currently respawning on, because I'm so fucked. And literally the game was play tested, I guess, to the point where they realize that even with this system, there is a possibility that the system accidentally thinks you're safe and you're really not, and in turn you end up with a fucked checkpoint that you can't use. So I'm just going to soften this area up a little bit. I don't think this is really going to matter too much, because what's programmed here is there are some very strong brute, whatever you call them, brute elites. They're the one of the higher ranking brute classes, and essentially they are hiding behind these doors so they're not taking splash damage from the Wraith tank, and they will come out of these two doors, one to the left, one to the right. I'm trying to shoot the door in the hopes that he'll come out. He did not. I'm trying. Could have died there. That's okay. I'm not sure why he's... I mean, you literally have a rocket launcher. I'm not sure why you decided to rush at me like you have the gravity hammer, but whatever. So we got the anti-air stuff in working. We're taking down a Corvette, and that'll allow some of these people to escape. I don't know if they escape off planet. I want to presume they escape off planet.
This is 6. Go ahead, Noble 2.
Considering how fucked you are at this point in Reach.
Covenant have the city sealed tight. We're getting nothing from George.
We're gonna regroup with our other Spartans in the next episode.
Understood. What's the situation at Starport exit?
The last transport is away.
All right. We're bringing you to us.
And they kind of talked over it, but we let my Noble 6 basically let us know, let the other team know, let the Spartan team know that George is gone. He's dead. He sacrificed himself.